So this is this is a presentation that is, that addresses one of the important, let's say, elephant in the room questions that teachers and educators, or of course, human teachers, let's say, have to face today, and which is how to be irreplaceable in the future. How we as educators can be can still keep our jobs, because now with the AI, with the rise of AI, I'm sure that in the future, at least, it's going to be like we have our jobs on the line. So how are we going to like still engage students, not lose them to AI, and still be around? So with sorry, this presentation is therefore an attempt at finding ways to render human teachers irreplaceable in the future. And this is, let's move on to the outline of the presentation. We'll definitely be focusing on the shifting role of the teacher, and we'll be also revisiting some assessments in order to make them compatible with AI. And by the end of the presentation, of course, you will get to know some recommendations for teachers on how to sustain their profession, and also how to prevent students from misusing or abusing AI. So one of the biggest challenges one of the biggest challenges of creating a presentation on AI is actually, we cannot say while we're doing this presentation, we cannot say that AI cannot do that, because as we speak, someone might be developing AI to do exactly that. So this is one of the problems we're facing, but fortunately, this presentation is not about AI, and I would like to reiterate this point, that this presentation is exactly about about teachers, about survival, that's why we called it the ultimate survival kit for teachers. So our focus today will be on teachers and their coping mechanisms with AI rather than AI itself. And to begin with, whenever there's if we move to the next slide, whenever there's, sorry, the next one. Yeah. So whenever there is a new technology that bursts on the academic arena, such as AI today, educators always split into 4 groups in terms of their reactions to it. So if we move on to the first group, I would rather call them the villainizers. So these are people or educators who believe that AI is bad for education, it's bad for business. They advise against it and stand in its way. We do not recommend this view, of course, because it is anti-progressive. And the second group is the integrators. Now, the integrators are the educators who embrace it unquestionably and immediately start integrating it into their classes. We wouldn't recommend this view either, because it involves, blind trust, and it also underestimates some of the risks that, or hazards of using AI. Now, the third group is what I call the experimenters. Now, these are educators who get initially skeptical as to whether AI is teacher-friendly or student-friendly or not. So they start experimenting with it to explore its merits and demerits. And this is, in fact, the soundest approach that we highly recommend. And finally, the last group is what I call the sideliners. Now, these are teachers who prefer to continue teaching as if AI does not exist. They sort of live in denial. This is not an effective approach, and we definitely don't recommend it for sure, because these teachers will eventually be left behind, and their teaching methods and strategies will soon be deemed outdated. But if you come to look at it closely, all these groups are like, streams that will eventually flow into the same sea of integration. So that's the key word. Integration is the outcome, the ultimate outcome of using AI. So when this is here's an example from Plato that's an interesting and funny example. When books were first invented, Plato, the Greek philosopher, advised his students against them. In his dialogue, Phaedrus, he stated that books have a negative impact on education. And well, according to Plato, it's because they weaken, books weaken the student's memory. But what happened later was of course that books were integrated into the learning experience and became part and parcel of the educational system. So unlike Plato, if we today see a student walking into a library, we would definitely feel happy. As we dig deeper into these attitudes, we find out that they spring from three basic uses of AI. There's the effective use of AI, and an example of that would be using AI to generate exercises, for example, for our students. And there's the misuse of AI, such as, for example, over-reliance on it. And there is the abuse of AI as in using it for plagiarism. Now, why is over-reliance considered a misuse? Because it marginalizes our roles as educators and it renders us indispensable, of course, it renders us replaceable. And so in fact, we as educators are battling not AI itself, and this is something to always remember, but what we're battling is its misuse and abuse. For this reason, we should increase our students' awareness about these three uses. We can, in fact, never emphasize enough the hazards of misuse and abuse. AI has become the buzzword among students today. So everybody has a different view. Everybody's talking about AI. All our students are talking about AI, but I mean, many of them don't have an idea of what it is and what it can do. And therefore, we need to organize and supervise seminars for our students to teach them how to use it properly. So it's not just like how it could be used in the classroom, how it's like how to use it ethically. That's the most important point. So there should be an emphasis on ethics in such seminars. We also need to organize seminars for teachers to provide them with some tips on how to use AI while still maintaining, that's important, still maintaining the center of the learning process and how not to lose our students to AI. So that's one of the things is when we teach teachers how to use AI, it's like how to stay in the center as a teacher, how not to be replaceable. So use it, but don't lose yourself as a teacher. We also need to focus in such seminars and programs on how sometimes AI is not really AI. So not all AI is AI. Students and teachers need to know where AI fails to achieve its goal as an educational tool. Examples should be provided of the misuse of AI in order to be avoided, to advise against them. So for example, we have this, Google AI recommending 2 to 3 cigarettes a day for pregnant women. Another example is, an AI image generator was asked to generate an image of salmon swimming down the river. And what it really generated was slices of salmon swimming down the river. And these are real examples that should be, it should be brought to light, should be uh, taught to the students so that they knew that they should know how not to misuse AI. And another thing we should constantly do is battle this misuse and abuse whenever we find it, inside the classroom, outside the classroom, on campus, off campus, on ground, and online. In short, wherever there are students. So we should use what in the military is called the pincer attack. Attack this misuse from all directions. Um, and So are we really losing our students to AI? Are our jobs on the line? These are some of the questions that everybody is worried about. Well, the answer is not if we make adjustments to our role as educators. We should invest in what AI is not, and that would be EI, so emotional intelligence. When AI reaches its peak of glory in the future, emotional intelligence will remain as the saving grace of mankind. So when would a student feel more rewarded, for example? I mean, we can ask ourselves this question and visualize this situation like an AI, which is ultimately a machine, right? Telling the student, you did a good job, you did a great job. Or when you, as a teacher, you pat your student on the shoulder and say, you did a great job. So definitely we have more motivation. Like when you, as a human teacher, encourage your students and reward them, they feel more motivated, more encouraged, and that's what we call emotional intelligence. And we should invest in our emotional intelligence ability. And here we find some. I'm not going to go through these, but these are some of the situations where we can also, stand out as educators in contrast to AI. We should also remember that AI is at its best when it comes to one-on-one teaching. But when we have a group of students from different cultural backgrounds, that's where we humans excel at teaching. Always try to let AI serve as an assistant in your class, not a substitute, not a replacement. Always maintain the upper hand in your class and never let AI take over. Another tip is you should adjust your role as a teacher. So instead of preserving your role as an information transmitter, if we move to can you please, next slide? Well, instead of preserving or keeping our role as information transmitters, we have to take on this role of learning facilitator. And we should also focus on critical thinking and creativity. Sorry, next slide. Yes. We have to focus on critical thinking and creativity in our classes. And when it comes to creativity, it's not really just limited to art and humanity. It also works very well in teaching science. So, for example, you can encourage your students to discover different methods of solving a math problem, for example, and that would really encourage them to think critically. We should also promote interdisciplinarism and eclecticism in learning. So you can make your students, for example, ask them to blend two theories from two different disciplines to come up with a new theory. An example would be taking feminism and psychoanalysis. This is what I did in my own class. And I asked the students to blend these two theories to come up with psychofeminism and then apply that to two different texts, make a comparative study. This is something that even AI would feel like it's confused to do, right? I don't know. I'm not really that. I mean, I didn't try it with AI, but I never asked AI to merge two theories and apply that to two different texts. But I'm sure that would be a little difficult. And then encourage them uh, to do some kind of assessments about their own assessments. So write assignments about your own assignments, and that would be would help them track their own progress. And also, you can also use that to check if they are relying on AI or not. Uh, Different styles also of writing. Check your students' styles, keep track of their styles, compare their styles, their writing style uh, in class assessments to their writing styles in homework assignments in order to check if they are relying on AI or not. This is another technique we use as teachers to see if our students are using AI or not. Um, Next slide, please. And yeah, I talked about this, which is called reflective assessment. And oh, try to rely less on PowerPoint, and because the more there is of PowerPoint, the less there is of you. So try to. I'm not saying don't use PowerPoint presentations, but try to minimize their use. And personalize your lessons. That would be the next slide. So personalizing your lessons means you make your lessons replete with personal anecdotes, class anecdotes. Ask students in exams about the issues they are encountering in class or some kind of technical problems they encountered in the lab. And remember, always remember that your students have access to AI, but AI does not have access to your students and your classes. That is, not in its database. Uh, Test your students' meta knowledge, not their knowledge. And what I mean by that is ask them, for example, how they solved a problem, not what the solution is. So this is a math problem. This is the solution. Okay, you got it right, but how did you arrive at the solution? And therefore, in your exams, always focus on the why questions. Sorry, next slide. In your exams, you always try to focus on the why questions, the how questions, and not the what questions. And also use scenario-based learning. So provide them with a scenario or a hypothetical, let's say a biology case, a hypothetical biology case, and then ask them how to deal with it. And you can also use what we call the LBT method, which is learning by teaching. So for example, at the end of each lesson, ask students to teach exactly what you taught them that day. And in this way, you will uh, really come to know how much they learned, how much they achieved the learning outcomes of that lesson, and how expressive and how communicative they are. And finally, focus on testing your student skills, not their knowledge. So instead of asking them how to do something, let them show you how they can do it. And this is also one of the weaknesses of AI when it comes to skill. AI is very good at knowledge, but not at skill. So thank you very much uh, uh, for following me up to this point. And now I'll just give the floor to Dr. Rawia for the rest of the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Muayad. Thank you for the organizer of Educast and the moderator. Um, I would more focus on some tools and equipment that we are using for evaluate our student performance in the era of AI. We did some evaluation about one of the tools that is most famous in detection the similarity and AI generation. And we found out that in general, the students are quietly intend to use the AI for generating the academic assignments or performing their work. And around 40% of the students were used the AI for doing their assignment. On the other hand, we found also that the lowest and the highest percentage of generating AI within the Turnitin, it was 88% the highest level of using AI, and 12% were by the minimum percent of using AI generating. In terms of the similarity, still high. What we mean by similarity, definitely it means the copy paste, direct copy paste from the source, and it was around 83%, the highest level, and 17 in the lowest level. And also we have some evaluation for the tools itself, and where even some universities start not rely on. The AI model and the AI, what we call it, long language model are moving very fast in a way that even Turnitin nowadays cannot detect if it's generated by AI or not, although they have these tools have been embedded in the Turnitin as one of the plagiarism detection tool. And the text in front of you have been written by an instructor. And what is surprising us when we used Turnitin, it's indicate that this paragraph have been written by AI, which is not true. And by the way, Turnitin in itself, it said that there is a possibility of false positive and true negative. So that make us also wonder what if we write with AI. So this is statements that have been written with AI, but it doesn't detect even it have been written with AI. Also, we have done some survey about the dishonestly and the using of the tools of AI, and we found that there is 36% of our respected lecturer have a concern about this issue among the student, which is, I think, is around the world. Also, we had some survey about if there is an strategy or way to prevent AI generation, and the most of the participant in this survey have been indicate to use and tools for detected. While this is with the current fast moving with AI, it's quite impossible to have a tool, direct tool to detect if it's written by AI or not. And this is also as an a survey result about how we can manage it and what is the best tools for preventing AI from use it or from this honestly. With this survey and with this data that we bring it, we want to emphasize on one thing, that there is no direct tools can detect if the student have used AI or not, or they are used to prepare their assignment. But we can do as Dr. Muayad presented earlier, we have different approach of or and strategy that we can use it to eliminate the effect of AI and encourage our student to use AI, not let AI use them. So one of this one, we can replace the homework with in-class assessment. So we bring student back to the class and the effective of discussion, presentation, one-to-one question, and also we depend on more discussion inside the classes, answering and review questions and suggesting some problems. One of the scenario that we can depend on, we also ask the student to use AI, but in this time we are asked them, let's say this is an practical approach. Let's say 10-minute reading the chapter quickly, and then you try to have the first 20 problems solved by your own, and then try again to back to the book, and then try to understand it by using some technical approach, and then try to use AI. And then after that, compare your work with the AI result and see how the same result are reached, and what is the approach that you have followed to solve these problems, and why you reach to this approach, not the other, or why you reach to this result, not to other result, if there is any shortcut to solving the problem. Also, in terms of the writing-based assessment, we can also generate something called AI proof rubric. And this one, whenever there is a written assessment or presentation or some task will be given to the student, there will be an criteria to evaluate if the student are using AI directly and completely and rely on it 100%, or they are using AI as an assistant. So we can depend on how they write in terms of the idea analyzing, in terms of evidence, organization, language, style, voice, and citations. So all this we can add it as an criteria level and evaluate their own performance. This is another response that we have gained in terms of how the AI have been used in your class, how was your student solving their assignment, and we got some feedback about this one. Also, we want to share one of the tools that called ClassPoint. Before that, Monica have mentioned about the active listening and safe setting in the classroom. And to keep our students engaged and to make sure they are active listener, of course, we are aware about what we call it micro teaching. That the student, after few minutes, they will lose their concentrations. So the only way that we can keep them concentrate with us with using the AI, one of the AI tools is using an interactive way of teaching. And one of them, this is the ClassPoint tool. And the ClassPoint tool, it's embedded inside PowerPoint. So you just simply can install it. And once you install it, you are going to have a different tools that can keep the student engaged with you. And at the same time, if they are open their tablet or their PC, they can on real time, have and engage with the current slide that you are presented. There is different plan for this ClassPoint, and there is different features that will be provided. So it provide multi-choice, word cloud, short answer, slide draw, drag and drop, fill in blank, even audio and video. The student can upload it. And also it provide you an ability to generate questions from your slide by using AI. You can create different way of interactive teaching, like make it gamified or make it an interactive quiz. And also you can reward your student and have some level of competition between them, the stars that you give it for them as reward for their activities, the badge, the leader of the board of the class. And here is how you can create different classes and manage them. And in a while, I will show you an example of some of my classes. And also you can control your student, you can reward them, you can also follow their progress per class. And then also you can see an individual performance of per student. And you can also reward them a star. You can see how much they are doing, just like it's more interactive for them, and see their performance within the time. This is the tool that is provided for you even when you are teaching, so you don't have to end the slide to open the website, or you end the slide to open your whiteboard to draw on. This is also very effective tools if you are teaching online. Also, you can use the different type of explanation and interactive explanation, like draggable objects. This is an example of it. So you can simply drag and drop the items. Also, name picker. This is just like sometimes the student will be more active in a class when you make it converted instead of too much formal to an game, like it's a name picker, so they can more be encouraged and participate and get more attention inside the class. This is different way of creating an interactive quiz for you. And also you can have a different way of controlling those quizzes, and this is the full tools of the ClassPoint. And this is an example of ClassPoint that it can be read the slide for you by using AI, and once it's read, it will provide you the answer for your student, and also they can participate by through the class code. And it's simply, they just need to log into the class code, and they can log in with their ID or their name, and then they can participate and answer on time with you. Before go with the more references, let me show you another things that how the class look like. So this is your board or your dashboard for you as teacher, and you can see different classes that have been used and created per class, and those classes that have been managed before. And let me show you some examples of how you can monitor later your student, see how many stars they have gained from your class. Also, you can see the reports, and if there is an activities, you can go through the activities and browse their performance, and also you can reward them, or you can also delete or control or see the performance of the student. Another tools that also can be used by teacher, what we call real avatar. This is an real avatar, which is an AI tools that you can not only chat with, you can call and talk. And I don't know if we can make it live now, but this is already, I don't know if you know him or not. He is Andrea Angie. He's one of the great brain in AI, and he has the Deep Learning Academy. And with the collaboration with a Real Avatar, they have created an real AI that can you communicate with them by voice. So this is a great tool for you as educator or as teacher, by talking and gaining some ideas, some new approach, some new methods to improve and enhance your work. And as we mentioned earlier, that we cannot isolate our student from the real life. So within time, AI will be like Google, how we are using now Google for searching, for finding any new knowledge. AI, it would be this tool very, very soon. And the development is far, far faster than we can imagine. It's not per day, it's per hours. So always there is new things. Even the emotional that we have talked about it, AI start talking and start working on it. So if you try it with a real avatar now, you are feeling that you are really talk to human. And even they used his voice tone and voice pattern in a way that when you talk to him over phone, you feel that you're talking to a human. Although at some point when you said sorry, we will talk later, he said to you, oh, don't need to say sorry, I'm just AI. But it still give you a feeling that you are talking to a human. There is some recommended books for how we are teaching in the era of AI, like teaching with AI, which is I really, really recommend it. It is very informative and have a lot of suggestion about how we can teach in the era of AI and what is the strategies that we have to use, starting from teaching, learning, and even from assessing our student. And there is a future of education, AI for educators, and actually many. The Coming Wave, also one of the wonderful book talking about the power of the AI and also how AI works. And thank you so much for having us today.